Welcome back to 23 Minute Reads with me, Maya D. This is kind of like my accountability vlog because in these videos, I share with you my takeaways from my current reading, which is, this is book 12, book 12. Joan Myers Brown and the Audacious Hope of the Black Ballerina. I'm reading this as a part of my 23 to 23 challenge, meaning I'm reading 23 minutes per day, every day as an action of self-love, as an investment into myself, and as a way of providing myself with some consistency in an ever-changing world. Hoping that you feel inspired to join me on this journey and drop some comments down there in that comment section so that there's an actual dialogue going on. Having in mind that while I have several decades of experience as an educator, a dancer, and a curriculum writer, I am not the know-all, be-all for this book right here. I'm simply providing a space for a dialogue. Well, this week I read, let me look at my notes. I read from the Acknowledgments through to page 32 of this wonderful book, book 12 of my challenge. And let me give you my 3 takeaways. Takeaway number 1 is Matriarchal Den. So on page 19, which was kind of like the XX1, 19 in Roman numerals. You follow me. This was in the prologue. We find these words. This is a matriarchal den. This is the way that BDG, Brenda Dixon Gottschalk, describes JB, Joan Myers Brown's office. And you might hear like this weird little cycling noise going on in the background. It's laundry day because I'm a real life person. I do this, but I got a real life, and it's laundry day in my real life. So we're just gonna ignore that and keep on going on with it. Matriarchal Den is the way that BDG describes JB's office. And while I know of JB, and I actually know people that have worked in Philadelphia, I don't know JB as a person. So it's nice to get to know JB and Philadelphia through this book. This intergenerational matriarchal den that BDG is describing includes not only JB, but her daughter and a number of other women that hold leadership and administrative roles in the office. So in this office, in this matriarchal den, we, the reader, get a glimpse of an alternative view of how an office and a successful business owner's life can look. And while everybody has their own path to success, right? My success does not look like your success. The description of this office demonstrates that a clear delineation between your work life and your business life works for some, but not for all. BDG offers us these words. It forces the newcomer to first, let me try that again. Here we go. BDG offers these words. It forces the newcomer on first entrance to adjust their expectations and reassess value judgments, end quote. The headquarters of this successful 40-year company, and I quote, a matriarchal den of pride, of parenthood, of motherhood, and sisterhood, end quote. It's a familial space. It's filled with images of generations of people impacted by JB and the work she has and is doing. The description of the studio, the office, felt like a reminder that sometimes there is a both and. It's not always an either or. Takeaway number 2 is no dedicated space. I'm someone who likes to know why a thing happened, not just what happened. And because of this, I really appreciated the early Black Philadelphia dance school section that's a part of the backdrop chapter in the book. And in that chapter, it speaks about America in the 1920s and the 1940s. In this section, we find these words. Here's the beginning of the quote. By the 1920s, a concert dance culture began to emerge in Black Philadelphia. With no performance outlet of their own, Black dancers appeared on vaudeville programs and also worked a thriving semi-professional circuit, performing at such community-based social events as teas, fashion shows, and yearly recitals. that most dance schools sponsored. Excuse me, end quote. I can honestly say that I was rubbed the wrong way when I read the words "no performance outlet of their own." The sentences that followed, however, gave me a better understanding of the entire U.S. during that time. At this point, classical ballet has been around for hundreds of years and has dedicated spaces in Europe, right? In Europe. It's not the same in America. There were no American ballets or ballet companies, rather, at this time in the early 1920s, and therefore there were no dedicated venues. This meant that even famous European ballet dancers performed in places like vaudeville when they came to the U.S. And as someone that feels very connected to dance as an extension of community and connected to its community, I felt drawn to this idea that some of the dances were still connected to community events during this time. So they were still a function of community. Takeaway number 3 is CTE. In the backdrop chapter, still in that same chapter, there's a section called Dorsey, Dubois, and Washington. In this section, BDG offers the reader a closer look at Dubois' theory, explaining what the talented 10th is, and discusses how Dorsey and others from that generation might have been directly impacted by this mode of thinking. Similar to that early Black Philadelphia school section of the backdrop chapter, each point is offered with, or is contextualized, right? Each point is contextualized by giving a vision of what was going on nationally, not just regionally. In this case, Booker T. Washington's theory is also discussed. Here's a quote from that section, getting over the quote. In a nutshell, Washington's theory was economic industrial, while Dubois' theory was educational political. Both positions are justified, end quote. As an educator, this really stood out to me because I continue to ask myself, what do my students need to know in order to be successful in the world, right? I consider myself a constructivist that's heavily influenced by Eastern philosophies. And in reading this book, I found out that even John Dewey supported Dubois. Never knew that until reading this here book. BDG also mentions that during this time, Dubois and Washington were pitted against each other by white power structures. But similar to what we find in that case of the Matriarchal Den, this is a case of this and that, not either and or. Both positions are justifiable. We can have this and we can have that. We can do this and we can do that. One of the ways that I see this manifesting is within Maryland's CTE, which is Career Technology and Education Programming. Students that successfully complete this type of programming can go directly into the workforce following high school as credentialed and experienced people. Because of the rigor the students experience in these programmings, they could be great anywhere. So if they decided to go on to higher ed or any other spaces, they could do it. They would be successful. They are prepared for this and that. But what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below, or just drop a book emoji or a book word, the word book, in the comments below so that I know that you're here with me. If you liked this video, if you found it interesting, remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for staying to the end. My name is Maya D, and this was 23 Minute Reads. Stay blessed, spread a good word, and I'll see you soon.